Paano nga ba nabuo ang napakahusay na hydration agent na Pocari Sweat? Noong 1973, nagpunta sa business trip sa Mexico ang isang researcher na matagal na naghahanap ng mga makabagong inumin. Sumakit ang kanyang tiyan at ito ay nauwi sa dehydration at siya ay naospital doon. Sinabi ng kanyang doktor, kailangan niyang maibalik ang nawalang likido sa katawan niya para gumaling siya. Nang sandaling iyon, naalala niya ang ininom ng isang doktor matapos magsagawa ng operasyon. Ginamit niya ang ideyang ito para makagawa ng isang inumin at nabuo ang Pocari Sweat bilang inuming nagbibigay ng ayon. Gumawa tayo ng inuming mabuti sa kalusugan at kahihiligang inumin ng mga tao sa araw-araw. Ito ang motto ng Pocari Sweat na ngayon ay lubos ng tinatangkilik ng mga mamimili sa 16 bansa at rehiyon sa daigdig. Wow! Masasabi na nating ito ang pinakamahusay na iron supplement drink sa buong mundo.
Bahagi na ng buhay nating mga Pilipino ang sports. Mula sa panahon ng unos, sa tamis ng tagumpay, sa kabila ng pagbabago ng buhay, ang Philippine Sports Commission ay patuloy na magigilingkod sa sambayanan at atletang Pilipino.
Hello everyone, isang magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Hello everyone. There you go. Sa mga nanonood pa sa amin live via our Philippine Sports Commission Facebook page as well as our Twitter and YouTube platforms. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Josh David Ricanor at ito ang People's Sports Conversations. Weekly live episode po ng Philippine Sports Commission. Siyempre hatid po ng PSC. Ang aming pong Chairman Butch Ramirez, ang aming 4 commissioners, Commissioner Arnold Agustin, Commissioner Ramon Fernandez, Commissioner Celia Kiram, and Commissioner Charles Maxey. And syempre, today is June 23. Today is another Thursday full of great stories. Dahil mamaya po, we will be joined by one of our top officials po sa Philippine Sports Commission that will give in hindsight and in conclusion ng legacy ng ating pong term ng ating current chairman and board of commissioners, also sharing the accomplishments and the memorable stories na kanyang babaunin sa ating sa kanyang stay sa Philippine Sports Commission. But bago po tayo magsimula, we have a lot of news and updates for everyone, and if you're watching sa kahit anumang pong platforms namin this afternoon, mag-comment na po kayo and I'll be happy to give a special shout-outs sa mga nanonood sa atin. Yan. Let me check. There you go. Si Algin Bringas, si Sharina Rabara is always watching. Si Coach Leo Jeffinson, and bumabati po sa atin, watching from Bataan always. Uy, si Coach Leo. Nandyan po ang Philippine Sports Commission sa Bataan a few days ago, para sa ating Philippine Sports Training Center groundbreaking. We will give you also the updates later. And si Ma'am Nene Morales, sabi niya, watching from Region 12. Hello po sa mga Mindanao friends po natin and sports enthusiasts from the Region 12. Si Shanta Traigo, sabi niya ay watching from Iloilo. And also si Miss Marie Arenas watching from Brunei. Hello po sa ating mga Filipino communities and overseas, sa mga iba-iba pong panig ng mundo. Hello po. Thank you po for always tuning in sa ating programa. And si Joseph Eden, sabi niya, watching from Pangasinan. And si Precious Candido watching from Valenzuela City. Nag-comment naman ng all caps, no? Si Benedict Panganiban, let's go daw. Ayan ang kanyang comment. And dahil dyan, we have a lot of news and updates para po sa ating lahat on this Thursday afternoon. Kaya hindi na po natin patatagalin. And we'll give you our PSC this week. Sisimulan po natin ang ating updates for this week. Siyempre, no, congratulating muli ang sa ating mga top elite athletes ng ating bansa, no, dahil last Saturday po ang ating Olympic gymnast, no, and recently yung SEA Games medalist natin, multi-medalist rather, na si Kaloy Yulo ay nagwagi ng 3 gintong medalya and 1 silver. Yan naman po ay sa kakatapos lang ng 9th Senior Athletic Gymnastics Asian Championships sa Doha, Qatar. Si Kaloy po ay nanalo ng gold sa vault, parallel bars, yan po, watching on your screen, and the floor exercise, yun, ng kanyang talagang forte, no? 3 gold and a silver medal in men's all-around category. Again, 4 medals for Kaloy Yulo on the 9th Senior Artistic Gymnastics Asian Championships in Doha, Qatar. Kaloy, congratulations sa iyo. And syempre, si Yulo po, no, is qualified to the 2022 World Championships in October. Yan po ay gaganapin sa Liverpool, England. And syempre, on Monday naman po, we have another news from our athletes. On Monday, we are congratulating our Filipino surfing hero, si Roger Casugay, as he finally received ang Pierre de Coubertin Act of Fair Play Trophy. Yan po, no? That was during the colorful awards rights by the Organizing Council of the International Fair Play Committee. Ginanap po yan sa Budapest, Hungary, a few days ago. And siyan po si Roger, no? Kasama yung mga kapwa atleta and the mga sports personnel all over the world that received the Pierre de Coubertin Act of Fair Play. Matatandaan niyo po noong 2019 SEA Games, ano, in their competition sa surfing, no? Tinaya po ni Roger ang kanyang medal contention as well as yung syempre sarili niyang buhay, no, to save a fellow Indonesian surfer, no, na syempre pinasalamaan na narinig natin yan all over the world, and then was really lauded, no, by different sports bodies. So Roger, again, endless congratulations formally receiving ang iyong Pierre de Coubertin Act of Fair Play trophy. And on Tuesday naman po, another set of elite athletes ang nagbigay sa atin ng karangalan dahil we are congratulating ang ating pong jiu-jitsu team, ang ating national jiu-jitsu team for winning 1 gold and 1 bronze medal. Ito naman po ay sa kakatapos lang na 2022 Thailand Open Grand Prix. Nagwagi po ng gold. At syempre si Kyla Napolis there on your screens. Kyla, congratulations. And a bronze medal naman for Miss Jolie Ko. Yan, si Jolene Ko also gave us a bronze medal. There you go. Yan ang mga photos ni Kyla and ni Jolene. Congratulations po sa ating mga elite athletes, no? Sumasabak pa rin even right after ang ating 31st SEA Games. Tuloy-tuloy po ang ating suporta sa ating mga elite athletes. And syempre, speaking of activities naman po, no, inside the Philippine Sports Commission, last Friday po, we had a very historic moment, no, a milestone in Philippine sports dahil po ang ating very own President Rodrigo Roa Duterte ay pinangunahan po ang groundbreaking ceremony of the Philippine Sports Training Center. Yan po ay ginanap sa Bagak, Bataan. That was I was mentioning kanina, no? And ang atin pong PSTC is scheduled to be completed in 2025. Ang PSTC po will cater the needs of our national athletes in competing sa 39 Olympic and non-Olympic sports, and ito po ay will feature numerous facilities, no, for administrative, yan, medical. Meron din tayong syempre sports science and dormitories for our national athletes and coaches. And nandun po ang ating chairman, and was accompanied as well by the president, and Senator Bongo's also there. Syempre ang Governor Abet Garcia and the congressman ng atin pong Bataan, no? Syempre ang atin pong PSC board was there, Commissioner Agustin there on your screens, Commissioner Celia Kiram, and Commissioner Charles Maxey was there in Bagak, Bataan. Siyempre yun, pinangunahan po no, ng ating Pangulo, ng ating chairman, ang time capsule, sealing yung ating time capsule na siyempre pag nakompleto na fully ang ating PSTC, babalik-balikan niya ng ating mga next generation Filipino talents in different sports. So we're very happy for that development, and also a trivia on this, ito pong ating PSTC is the only pangalawa lang po sa isa sa mga sports facilities na pagmamay-ari po ng Philippine Sports Commission. Siyempre, ang kauna-unahan po dyan ng ating historic Rizal Memorial Sports Complex. That was built in the 1920s pa, guys. 1920s pa po binild ang ating historic RMSC. And right now, ito na yung na next land, a new home that will be the center ng ating Philippine sports training. So yan po sa PSTC sa Bagak, Bataan. There you go. And syempre, pinapasalamatan po natin ang provincial government of Bataan for donating the 250,000 square meter of land, 225 hectares po of land in Bataan, where the sports complex will be constructed soon. And syempre, on Monday po, itong Lunes po ay ating binibigyan ng we're sharing our congratulations sa atin pong newly seated Vice President Sara Duterte Carpio for her inauguration. Last Monday, nandun po ang ating chairman to witness ang inauguration po ng ating 15th Vice President of the Philippines. Congratulations po muli sa ating bagong Vice Presidente, Sara Duterte Carpio. And also on Tuesday naman, itong Tuesday, speaking of transitioning and getting securing the future of Philippine Sports Commission, ang atin po mga members of our PSC Management Committee, led by our Executive Director, Attorney Guillermo Eroy, ay nakipagpulong po sa ating mga heads of offices and mga middle managers po ng Philippine Sports Commission para po to finalize yung ating transition preparations natin and other pressing matters po of the agency. Nakita niyo po sa inyong mga screens, yan po ang ating PSC Management Committee. Binabati po natin yan sila, different heads of our offices, syempre to ensure yung smooth transition from our exiting board to our papasok na mga newly elected officials para po sa Philippine Sports Commission. And syempre, isa sa pangakailangan nyo rin pong abangan, this would be on also another program on Tuesday, rather. This one, ito naman po sa programa ng Philippine Sports Commission. Nung nakaraang Sabado po, ay June 18, nag-donate po ang Philippine Sports Commission ng mga rubber basketballs and volleyballs sa sports development projects po ng Provincial Youth Development of Samar. That was posted last June 18, a few days ago, last Saturday, I believe. And again, ang Philippine Sports Commission po talagang todo suporta po sa ating mga SK movements, kada municipalities and LGUs. Alam po namin this is a small help, but we really want to extend yung ating syempre giving time and giving you support sa ating mga sports developments in every LGU by donating itong mga sports equipments na ito. And on Tuesday as well, speaking of basketball, 31 teams po from the provinces of Cebu, Bohol, Leyte, Southern Leyte, and Northern Samar po ay nakilahok na dito po sa ating final rounds ng 2022 PSC Chairman's 3-on-3 Visayas Championships. Ginaganap po yan currently sa Toledo City Sports Complex in Cebu. And yan po, yan, nakita niyo yung mga medals and trophies. I think we are already on the final games ng ating 3x3 competition na yan. Nakita niyo po ang ating PSI Deputy Director, Sir Marlon, and Sir Noni, our Visayas coordinator as well, was there to organize and bigyan ng opportunity yung ating mga youth to play 3x3 basketball. Indoor and outdoor po yan. Dalawang categories yan. And syempre 31 teams nga, as I've mentioned, ang sumali. And currently competing pa po for medals and trophies sa ating grassroots sports competition na ito. I just also want to mention, kahapon naman po, Wednesday, ang atin pong mga kasama sa Armed Forces of the Philippines ay pinangaralan po ang ating mga SEA Games athletes, no? Pati rin yung mga bar passers, and syempre ang ating pong AFP Chief of Staff General Andres Centino ay inawardan po ang ating 74 military officers, yung mga enlisted personnel natin, and civilian human resources. May mga soldier athletes po tayo sa pangunguna ng ating Olympic gold medalist, no? And recently, no, si Miss Heidelin Diaz and others as well ay pinarangalan po, no, ang ating po mga soldier athletes na nagwagi ng mga gintong medalya and were awarded of Outstanding Achievement Medal. Yan po ay sila Staff Sergeant Heidelin Diaz and also Yumir Marshal, Philip Delarmino as well, and others. Si Miss Janine Pontejos of women's basketball was also awarded. Yung sa ating naman pong silver and bronze medalists were conferred with Meritorious Achievement Medal. So muli, congratulations po sa ating mga soldier athletes, athletes and coaches, and syempre taos puso pong pasasalamat sa ating mga kasama sa Armed Forces of the Philippines for continuously supporting ang atin pong mga elite athletes. And there you go. And syempre on Friday, abangan nyo po on this Friday, bukas na po yan, tuloy-tuloy po tayo sa Philippine Sports Commission to give you updates, this time on PSC Hour. Dahil on Friday, bukas po, kasama po sa Radyo Pilipinas 2 ang atin pong very own PSC Chairman, Butch Ramirez. That's June 24, 1 p.m. Bukas po yan. That's a Friday. And nandun po ang ating minamahal na chairman to give updates again for the agency, at the same time ang kanyang mga stories to tell, no, sa atin, moments po bago sila lumabas sa term as sa ating pong PSC board. So there you go. Abangan niyo po, and that's 1 p.m. tomorrow, June 24, for PSC Hour on Radyo Pilipinas 2. You can also watch this sa aming pong PSC Facebook accounts for more. There you go. Gusto ko lang pong basahin yung mga nag-comment sa atin. Yan, sabi ni Fabiliar and ni Gracer C. Wow daw sa ating mga athletes. Congratulations. And si Jose Baguio, sabi niya, watching from Cebu. Let's support our athletes, sabi niya, which is our pride, and showcase that Filipinos are world-class. Ayun, totoo po yan. God bless the Philippines. And lastly, from Jason Valenzuela, sabi niya, proud Filipino, watching from Kaong, Silang, Cavite. There you go. Marami pa po tayong updates. So I hope you stay updated po sa mga news and updates sa loob at labas ng ating ahensya. You can always check our social medias and our official website for more on these things. And there you go. And marami po tayong updates. But this afternoon po ang ating episode ngayong hapon po na ito is a special one dahil as you know, in the past few episodes po, we had our elite athletes featuring, no, dito sa ating weekly episode. But ngayong hapon po na ito, I have a very, very special guest, no, and one of our leaders po sa Philippine Sports Commission. And to introduce to you ang atin pong special guest for this afternoon, we also have a returning co-host. Ayan, I'm very excited na makasama muli ang ating guest MC for this afternoon. Na syempre, was a sports writer for the Philippine Daily Inquirer, and syempre one of our founding members ba, sir? Correct niya ako mamaya, of our PSC POC media group. Let us all welcome Mr. June Navarro as our guest MC. Sir June, hello po sa inyo. Gandang hapon.
Good afternoon, Joash. Dami-dami yung mga sports events natin the past few weeks.
Opo, sir. And it's good to know na kasama po namin kayo muli, no, sa ating programa. Sir June, I will give you the floor right now to introduce po ang ating magiging guest for this afternoon.
Okay. Again, this is June Navarro from the PSC POC Media Group and from the Philippine Daily Inquirer. Yes, I would like to introduce our guest. Dapat hindi guest ang tawag kundi one of our bosses here at the Philippine Sports Commission. For the past 6 years, the PSC has accomplished so much. And one of those people who diligently worked for the agency's unparalleled success in helping our athletes to become the best that they can be is the National Training Director of the Philippine Sports Institute and concurrent PSC Chief of Staff, Marc Edward Velasco.
Good afternoon, maraming salamat, Jun. Kinompleto mo pa pangalan ko. Para tuloy ako pinatawag ng principal. But anyways, thank you. Yung credit lang talaga is to our leadership no ng PSC chairman and the board. I'm just really try to work hard for whatever they need. And I just like special mention pala to Roger Kasugay. Roger and I really communicate regularly. Congratulations, Roger Kasugay, for winning the Pierre de Coubertin uh, Fairness Award. So we're so proud of you. So, but anyways, yun, maraming salamat, Jun, for, actually, ako papasalamat for hosting this, as our guest host. Really, success of the show. Uh, One of the first few episodes was ikaw yung nag-host. So, maraming salamat.
Maraming success stories the previous weeks. And I guess it was the result of the hard work and the support of the PSC. And of course, ikaw as the PSI National Training Director. Well, for the benefit of those who are watching at saka listening to us, first off, we want to inform the public, ano ba ang function talaga ng PSI?
Well, if you look at really how sports institute functions around the world, iba-iba yan siya. Well, I came off from the Hong Kong Sports Institute. Mainly, we catered the elite athletes, but coming back to the Philippines and reestablish, for the benefit of those who don't know, this is actually the third iteration of the so-called Philippine Sports Institute. First iteration was, I think, in early '93 by then Chairman Philip Wico, and then the second iteration was in at the later part of 2007 2008 by Chairman William Ramirez, and then when there was change in administration, nawawala po yung magagandang mga projects. And then when Chairman Ramirez came back in 2016, this is one of the first special projects that he established. And it's different from, if you look at Google Sports Institute around the world, mainly they, like I said, focus on elite athletes. But this time, since we're starting from not, I wouldn't say scratch, but we're starting with a very minimal foundation. We jumped off with really providing involving the grassroots, because I think that should be the start off point of any sports program. It's the grassroots. So we started off there. We started off with education programs. We also kicked off with we jumpstarted talent identification, and from there it rolled off and bankrolled, and a lot of programs had piggyback. In fact, yung mini-mention ni Joash na Philippine Sports Training Center was from the conceptualized from the concept where the Philippine Sports Institute got involved with the lower house, and na-develop po yung Philippine Sports Training Center. Yung National Academy of Sports was actually, was Philippine Sports Institute was a big part of how that was conceptualized, the framework. So right now we're at the point of we have established yung grassroots program ng Philippine Sports Institute. In terms of the high performance or the elite program, we have also established yung support natin sa athletes. One of, I think, the biggest contribution of Philippine Sports Institute was actually conceptualizing the Filipino First framework, which was a big part of how we should run our sports during the pandemic. And a big part of that were from the Philippine Sports Institute, doctors and health before the Olympics was from the Philippine Sports Institute. So relatively, we have established a lot of programs with in terms of the grassroots part and the elite part. So I guess moving forward, if I may anticipate your questions, what's next for Philippine Sports Institute? Well, it's important also for the next administration to really take a look at what we have done, and from there you have to just to build programs from what we have done. So relatively, the Philippine Sports Institute, to go back to your original question, it has a component of grassroots program, which mainly an education-based framework. For the elite component, mainly for supporting the national athletes in their training, more of a scientific approach. We provide a lot of sports science, sports medicine programs for them.
Well, Sir Mark, can you be specific kung anong mga benefits ng elite athletes with the integration of sports science sa kanilang training and development?
Well, basically, we enhance yung support system natin sa national athletes, no? Every time they go out and train and compete abroad, notwithstanding the budgetary constraints, but if we early part before the pandemic, we were really providing a lot of medical support, athletes, scientific support services for our athletes, and a big part of that played a role during the 2019 SEA Games, where a lot of our teams went outside to train abroad, and a lot of our staff also went out and provided support sa ating national team. So specifically for the elite athletes, we have really provide scientific and sports medicine support for our athletes. And for the research component, which was supposed to jump off before the pandemic, but was held off, I think the pandemic, we have actually acquired a lot of testing and evaluation equipment. We have our biomechanics, we have our what you call this, we have our VO2 testing equipment, both portable and stationary. So a lot of those components for research and monitoring and identification of specific action of an athlete is in the pipeline na rin.
Is it already up and running yung mga equipments ng PSI?
Yes. I mean, if we will give you an opportunity to, provide and give a little bit of background, we during the early part of this year, we started to install those things. So, in biomechanics wise, we have already we have the 8 camera setup wherein yung nakikita nyo sa YouTube wherein we have a stick man, or we analyze the athlete's movement. We are already capable of that. There's also the athletes monitoring system, and we have wireless wearables for athletes where they detect skin temperature, heart rate, movement as well. We already also have that component in our medical and scientific athlete services.
You've said that this is the third iteration ng PSI, no? Since the time it was institutionalized back in 1993, and I guess it's a big jump, no? From the time it was institutionalized up to now. Naramdaman ng mga athletes, and then they've already succeeded do sa mga tinulong ng PSI to them. What are the other challenges that you've encountered as training director?
Well, a lot have been one of the challenges we have was obviously the funding. A lot of our funding is heavily focused on elite program, meaning we provided for their training needs. So the PSC would pay for their airfare and training requirements. As I would say, suitable, or I would say was sufficient enough to really give us the basic needs or the basic programs that need to be implemented in the PSI. So funding, I could say funding, well, in any setting, may you be a rich country or a poor country, funding is always a problem. It's never enough. Second, a lot of our personnel in especially on the sports medicine side, which is we have a big turnover of staff. As we know, a lot of our medical staff uh, internationally is very attractive kasi they have a component of sports as part of their resume. So a lot of you know international companies would tend to look at that and take that advantage. And obviously, and not only in sports, in the Philippines, there has been a big problem of our medical workers. But we do have committed staff who has worked with the athletes for the longest time. So more of those things. Plus, as an agency, we cannot really do it alone. So a lot of programs for the grassroots, we have to really communicate and coordinate with our DepEd counterparts, with our local government, with the ILG, with even the AFP and the police. So not we're not saying we are complaining because we coordinated, but because those things takes a lot of effort and coordination to pull through. So those things, I would say, are challenges, but nothing really uh, would be a roadblock for the Philippine Sports Institute, specifically the Philippine Sports Commission programs. So we welcome those, and I think, just like I said, for the next administration, it is something that they can build on, a really strong foundation. Unlike the previous two iterations, we practically have, I wouldn't say nothing, we practically have less to work with. But this time we have a lot of ongoing programs. And, I would say the pandemic really gave us a lot of advantages because a lot of our programs, especially for the grassroots, we made uh, I mean, we were able to reach out to more people because of the online setting. So unlike before, when we have programs, we would require them to go to a specific place, but this time they just log onto the computer. So we had more involvement with the people, and considering Tokyo was a pandemic Olympics, and it was one of our successful Olympics, if not the successful Olympics we have. So um, those are a few things of challenges that we experience, but I think moving forward it would be much better.
I believe every sport has a detailed program, no, sa training and all the things that you need to do for the investment sa mga athletes, ano. Can you walk us through, bigyan mo kami ng sample kung paano ang ginagawa ng PSI for them to really achieve yung mga goals nila in the
Ah,
international level?
okay. We do have a few sports that rely or depend heavily on our MSAS support system. So a lot of them, in fact, are martial arts. An example is Muay Thai, which they depend heavily on our recovery team, which is our physical therapist, our massage. So every program that they have in a season, they know, and our staff know, which is the heavy days, which are the times that they need to be there. If they
Previous
have
administrations, wala yan, ano, Sir Mark?
I cannot say what happened in the past. I really have no, but relatively, that's what we have practiced in Hong Kong Sports Institute where I used to work. So relatively, we are at par of what we how much we provide support for our athletes. I wouldn't say we are much better. I would say we are less, but I would say we are at par. We have provided them with the support, and also we have some of our you know our swimming team, our water polo specifically, they rely heavily on our strength and conditioning coach. They rely heavily on our sports science staff to really give them. They sometimes do lactate tests. They give you a picture of aerobic and anaerobic capacity, especially on their sports, because for water polo, a lot of it are explosive action when you take shots, but a lot of also a component of endurance. Imagining threading on the water, in the water for long periods of time. So a lot of those things are being provided for, though there are some sports that we still try to provide support. And I think moving forward, as I said, we have now the technology to really provide Hi, Jun. Can you still hear me? Dinig mo pa ako?
Hang.
Naghang. Okay. Ako ang naghang. But
Wala eh.
anyways, yes, we do have provided support for our athletes, and then and I think the next phase of that, since we have our biomechanics system up and running, we can provide more support for, especially for the athletes who demand a lot of analysis with their movements. May that be gymnastics, may that be weightlifting, may that be athletics, may that be swimming. We can relatively provide them with a picture of how we can analyze their movements.
Hopefully, the next PSA administration will continue all these gains na nagawa natin for this current administration. Well, your leadership sa PSI led to numerous successes, no? Sa grassroots around the country. What are the things na tingin mo needs more improvement in the
Uh,
program that you should introduce
Yeah,
more?
well, I would definitely would want to reach out to more of our get involved with our local government in terms of providing them with the type of technology and know-how that we have in the Philippine Sports Commission. This is very apparent. No, we had a few local governments who in the past were at the tail end of a medal standing, and they can with their testimonies, they said that with just training their coaches, their teachers, they really improved a lot. Their athletes trained safer. Their athletes was able to cope with the schedule and the demands of training. Their athletes were able to recover well, and they now understood. They now understand how it is to really have to properly coach an athlete. So I think we need more of that. A much of our success, you know, would really rely on how we develop our grassroots, yung kasunod ng ating elite athletes. Because right now, our elite athletes are still peaking, but we have already reached our international success. So I think that was a breakthrough for us, and we just have to sustain it. We just have to feed, the quality of athletes that we provide. And June, I'm not I'm not minimizing anybody, but you look at the success of our athletes, most of them are really homegrown talents.
Yes.
I'm not taking a dig at our foreign athletes. I'm not minimizing, but we will be very very much proud of our homegrown talent.
And can you say that it was the result of the effort of the PSI?
Well, it's not my character to get the glory, but I think part of it really would play, because I know it takes really the whole country to make a successful athlete. It takes funding from the government, our legislators, a private corporation would have to chip in, Philippine Sports Commission, Philippine Olympic Committee, everybody has to chip in But yes, I can say that the technology and the support that the Philippine Sports Institute provided, it also played a role in the success, has a hand in the success. So maraming kamay yan, but one of those hands would be from the Philippine Sports Commission, Philippine Sports Institute.
So generally, it's a collective effort from all of these people, all the agencies, and all
Yes,
the stakeholders
yes,
concerned dito sa
yes.
sports.
And
And
just to add on that, June, I'd like to underpin the success we have during the pandemic. Philippines, for the most part, hosted a lot of international competitions, and a big part of that is how Philippine Sports Commission provided support, technical knowledge to the bubble competitions and the bubble events that have happened in the Philippines. That for sure we can take credit together with the other agencies like Department of Health, Games and Amusements Board, uh, local organizers, the NSAs who organize this event. A lot of that really also would be the type of personnel that we have. Much of our doctors are internationally recognized by the international federations, and we have utilized them during the pandemic. So, just to add on those things that you mentioned.
Sir Mark, if you compare yung institute natin dito sa bansa natin, compare it from the other sports institute sa Southeast Asia pa lang, how can you, anong rating natin compared sa...
Kung, kung Southeast Asia, I would just say we've relatively been successful because we have been the most successful Southeast Asian country during the Olympics. But compared to them, they have been established,
Yes.
years ago. But not to be outdone, the Philippine Sports Commission and the Philippine Sports Institute really had a lot of, I wouldn't say the Filipino way of doing things, not negatively, but a positive way of how we can manage to really be at par with them with
How about at the Asian level? Are we getting closer to them?
I think we're getting closer to them. We are still far off from of course, from the Hong Kong Sports Institute, from the Korean Institute of Sports Science, from the Japan Institute of
Yeah.
Sports Science. We're far off from the Chinese, even the Beijing Sports Institute, the Beijing Athletic Universities. So we're still far from them due to the amount of resources they really put on their sports institute. So, but hopefully we'll get there with the success that we have for the past 4 years, starting from the Asian Games in 2018. I think we have really achieved so much, and I think part of that program, part of the people who has the power to provide support would take a look at what PSC has done.
Well, for the benefit of our listeners and watchers, no, Sir Mark helped Hong Kong win an Olympic medal as
Yes.
one of
Yes.
the people who back their athlete, their famous cyclist. No?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually, in fact, it took me 6 years to
Yeah,
bring her
yes.
to that level, but all those
Yun
6 years
it's
was
6 years, no?
a lot of a younger me would have done. If I would go back, I would have done things a little bit that would have probably accelerated her growth. But I mean, we are what we are right now, and I think we will be hopefully we will be building on what we already have established.
On a personal level, what are the valuable lessons that you've learned dito sa PSI National Training Director for the past 6 years?
Well, not only for the PSI, but in the PSC, a lot of it was patience. Some things that you used to do before, since it's a very high level organization in Hong Kong, a lot of patience when it comes to the Philippines. We have a different bureaucratic process, especially with government. A a lot of has to be bank on patience
Mm.
and humility. You know, when to step back, when to really hold it in. A lot of hard work. A lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice. And I give credit to our athletes who really made a lot of sacrifice. I always tell people, it's the athlete that wakes up early in the morning. It's the athlete that fights with their coaches. It's the athlete that fights with their girlfriends or boyfriends, fight with their parents because they have to perform well. Not fight in a bad sense, but they struggle with those things. So you're not the one who's waking up early in the morning. You're just the one who wakes up at your regular time and you see these things happen. But those things, yeah, patience, humility, sacrifice, those things I learned, and those things I also see with our chairman. A lot of his leadership skills are banked on sacrifice, patience, humility, hard work. So those things, when you see your leader, when you see your boss do those things, it's really it's easy for you to follow. So I think those are the lessons I learned.
Yeah, being the chief of staff, you have been constantly witnessing PSC Chairman Butch in action on how he runs the PSC.
Yes,
So,
front and center.
how
so
is the
those,
experience? What can I
well, it's a big learning curve for me since I used to be a frontline worker. I deal directly with the end client or the athlete. So for me to take a back seat and really have a bigger picture on a management scale, a management it was really a big learning curve. But I mean, his guidance really helped a lot, as well as the people I've worked with. The people I've worked with before. So it's a lot of credit also to the Philippine Sports Commission staff and employees who I've worked with before, who I'm very
Nga pala, you've been involved in sports for over 2 decades, yeah?
yes. Actually, counting back, I said, wow, 2002, and now it's 2022. It's been 20 years. And I could say I'm a veteran now. I used to think I'm a neophyte. Now I'm a veteran. Yeah. So it's a joy. It's a different experience, June. Having worked with the different countries, different experience when you see your own blood, your own countrymen go up to the podium, sing the national athletes. It's different. So this for me is a much joyful experience as well.
He, before that, he even helped Hong Kong win an Olympic medal. And now the PSC, with you, one of its top officials, was instrumental in achieving itong tinatawag natin na golden era of sports under the Duterte administration. What are your thoughts about it, Sir Mark?
Yes, we can definitely say it's a golden era because we won the first gold Olympic medal through Heidi Lim Diaz. And not only that, not only medal, but multiple medals. So a lot of that success is working together with organizations and people working for sports. So, the Philippine Olympic Committee, the NSAs, the private organizations. I said a lot of those things are also should be credited with the success. So yeah, I mean, when you say golden era, a lot of good things are going on. Even cooperation with different organizations. So I definitely say, hopefully, we can say that we've only just begun. This is the starting point of the Philippine sports golden era.
Yes.
So it
As PSA National Training Director, ano ba, how do you spend your entire day?
Well,
Talking to a lot of people, athletes,
pre, pre,
coaches,
pre-pandemic or pandemic?
both.
Both. Well,
Yeah,
pre-pandemic, I because I was I, I was very active physically, so I wake up very early in the morning, do my workout. So I swim in the morning. So I did a lot of swimming, running, and cycling during that time. And the office, obviously, I just monitor day-to-day operations. So, the operations of the Philippine Sports Commission really emanates from the executive director. It's just that I'm just the, if some things that our chairman wants to emphasize, then I'll be the one to emphasize those things and down to the executive director to really implement those things. So I'm just really just the echo of the chairman in a sense. I monitor and look. During pandemic, a lot of things has been, you know, when everybody was not allowed to go out, I was one of the few
yeah.
who goes out and
You know,
monitors.
pandemic.
Yeah, I was still working during the pandemic. But, even up to now, we still have a lot of work I'm still doing a lot of things. It's funny because the PSC has been more busy this past
Yeah.
5 6 years. I was with PSC before 2000 until 2008, so I can have really a view of how busy we were. I don't know. It's probably because we have more sports that we have handled. We cater to more a bigger sized or a bigger number of athletes. So, but I think the men and women of Philippine Sports Commission are the most hardworking that I've seen. So especially in a Philippine Sports Commission, you know, involves different organizations. We work with the Office of the President, we work with the Games and Amusement Board, we work with Department of Health,
Yeah.
DPWH. So, mas marami kasing coordination at this time. So I think the PSC is more busy, the more dynamic at this time.
The current PSC administration or the Duterte administration is about to end in a week's time. Meron pa bang mga unfinished business si Sir Marc Velasco as PSI National Trading Director?
I wouldn't say unfinished, but because we already established, I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it to make things easier for
So there are a lot of more things na kailangan gawin.
yes, a lot of things to really. I think we're in the transition phase. We're just trying to make sure the next administration would able to look at the PSC programs and PSI programs and would not have a hard time wrapping their head around. So we just want to prepare the plate for them, make sure the presentation is better.
There are too many accomplishments for this PSC administration. On top of your mind, what are the legacies that the current PSC board headed by Chairman Butch Ramirez that the next set of PSC officials should sustain or follow?
Well, I would credit the current PSC board, sila Arnold Agustin, Commissioner Celia Kiram, Charles Maxi, and of course future Hall of Famer Ramon Fernandez as one of the greatest Filipino athletes. They have really worked together and the board to establish, because if you don't have a working board, I don't think any of the programs that the PSC has or the success the PSC has would not be realized if we don't have those current board of commissioners. So I guess for us, if if I were to give unsolicited advice, the next board of commissioners, the next PSC board must work together to really sustain the success of the Philippine sports. So yun, maraming programs are successful because of the PSC board.
Ano bang favorite sport mo, Sir Mark? And,
Mar-
oh,
mara- Marami akong favorite. Well, I like basketball, obviously.
hmm.
I tried a lot of things. I did triathlon. I I I I, I did trail running on a personal. Now I'm trying this one sport, but I just had a few sessions, so I don't know if I like the sport yet. But I could not say it at the moment. Baka naman bigla akong lokohin ng mga kaibigan ko. But I would still I'm still trying out this new sport. But I used to be very active with triathlon even back in Hong Kong. So right now I'm trying to get back in shape. I'm not getting any younger. So I'm trying this new sport hopefully.
From among the sports na na-handle mo na, no? Ano yung pinaka-challenging para sa'yo?
Well, I guess each sport has its own challenges, but I wouldn't say challenging. I would say it says it has its each sport has its different intricacies. So far, wala naman. I think I've handled a lot of personally, I've worked with a lot of sports in the past. But I did just to give you a background. I was also handling the special athletes in Hong Kong. So that was a challenge because of language. They only know, you know.
When you say special athletes, are these yung mga para athletes ba
No,
to?
these are athletes that are would have learning disabilities, would have communication disabilities. So, yung sa Special Olympics, it's different from Paralympics, but sa Special Olympics, specifically, I've handled swimming special athletes. So, that was challenging, but it was more joyful kasi you can really see them shine,
Yes.
on a different level. And those athletes, they give you what they're 100% all the time.
What things give you satisfaction when you see these athletes?
It's the mere fact that they were able to achieve the things because they worked hard for it, not only because of their talent but because they really work hard. I mean, the talent can only bring you so much, but working hard can really push you further.
Okay.
So
So,
medyo
I've,
naputol
I've been,
ata ako.
I've been, wanting to ask you this question. As one of the officials behind the progress of the PSC and the success of the Philippine sports in general under this administration, ano ba ang ultimate dream mo for Philippine sports?
Wow.
Kasi
Since we have already achieved the Olympic medal, di ba? The Olympic gold. So for me, I think paano ba? To have more I think for the youth to be more inspired, that we would not have a hard time looking for an athlete of that quality. Hindi na yung hahanapin pa natin. I mean, because we really would work with the Department of Education and the sports program, the quality of athletes coming from schools, regardless uh, if coming from a provincial school or a city school, we would have, we can just gather athletes with high quality of ability. So yun yung, I think that would be a very good dream
And
for Philippine sports.
to be able to do that, you have to go deeper sa grassroots development ng mga athletes.
Yeah, you have to work with the Department of Education. They're really an integral component, and I do hope the coming Secretary, Vice President Sara Duterte would really bolster the National Academy of Sports and the sports programs in our public and private school settings.
Can you give us an update do sa National Academy for Sports na that we've been institutionalizing?
Naputol ata ako. The National Academy for Sports is under the Department of Education. The Philippine Sports Commission, we just provide support for them. So as long as they would uh, want us to help them, we would definitely help them. But right now, the National Academy of Sports has already, uh, based on the news that came out, meron na po, I think they have their own building now in the New Clark City, and hopefully they'll be able to really to be successful in that setting. I mean, the National Academy of Sports is a system. It's not only limited to a specific place. So hopefully, once they get successful, they can replicate that. So I would urge everybody to really support the National Academy of Sports.
Do you see future partnerships with the NAS, PSI, and
Definitely. I mean, PSC is an integral component of the NAS board. The vice chairman for the National Academy of Sports is the chairman of Philippine Sports Commission. So whoever is the sitting chairman of Philippine Sports, whether or not we get involved or not, PSC is a big part of the development of National Academy of Sports.
and of course the PSI. The PSI will always step into the picture.
Yes, for that's on the technical side. In fact, the current executive director for the National Academy of Sports used to be our head of our sports science, si Edie Joy Reyes, and she definitely would be continue to collaborate with Philippine Sports Commission and Philippine Sports Institute.
Wow, well said, well said. The three functions of the PSI, of course, is the grassroots sports development, and then you're saying that we have to focus more on that with partnerships with the LGUs. And what do you think will be the future goals that the PSI should achieve to really propagate the three functions of the PSI?
Well, hopefully, no. I could not say what our future administrator would be able to do, but I would say we have to take a look at a bigger involvement or a bigger footprint of PSI in terms of grassroots education. Hopefully we can have partner university wherein PSI could be a partner in education, providing actual degrees, actual certificates, actual diplomas. That's I think would be the next level for the education. For the high performance, I would say take a look at maybe starting the research program, being more involved in the sports medicine, sports science research community. I think we already have the tools for that. A lot of our head of our units are really academes from different universities. So creating scientific research would not be a problem. That would only bolster the credibility of Philippine Sports Institute if we're able to develop or produce a research paper, peer reviewed research. So that's probably the next step for the PSI. So that's for the grassroots and for the high performance.
And of course, priority yung sports education then on that.
Yes, yes, definitely. And obviously, with the support of our sports writers, we can continue sending very good messages to our countrymen. So you are also an integral part of the growth of sports in our country.
Well, I've been hearing some stories about yung mga coaches that they've trained athletes, and after that, sometimes the coaches are forgotten, and the coaches gusto nilang kahit paano they want to share the achievements of their athletes. What do you think are the best ways to help these coaches continue yung kanilang mga ginagawa for the athletes?
Well, I think for those coaches, I don't know. No. I would really say that probably we can expand on their incentives. I mean, the incentive act for the coaches, because I think the coaches have, especially the coaches who started the careers of some of these athletes, yung formative years ng athletes, would be an integral part of their success. I know some of the coaches, in fact, when there's a recognition for the athletes, they would. I hear them. I hear, their stories. I hear that they could probably be recognized better. So
Yes.
I think one way is really to expand on their incentives. I don't know. It's probably the next board of commissioners, next board of PSC would think of such policies. But I think on the part of how would they would be recognized, we can have, an incentive program.
Yeah. It's we've been looking forward for that sa mga susunod pa mga administrations. Well said, Sir Mark. Can you give us your parting message before we wrap things up?
Well, it's for me. I am really grateful to have been part of the beginning of the golden years of Philippine sports. It's been an honor to be at the forefront to witness these things, and hopefully we can ride on the success that we have. We can continue. We can bolster all the programs that we have achieved. So maraming salamat, and without the support of our fellow countrymen, we would not have achieved this.
Okay. Once again, thank you very much for your time, Sir Mark.
Lumabas na si Joash.
The Philippine Sports Institute National Training Director, and also the Chief of Staff of the Philippine Sports Commission. Salamat din, Joash, for inviting me here.
Thank you, Jun.
Thank you, Sir Mark.
Yes, I think Joash, naka-mute ata si Joash. And
Ayun. There you go. Maraming salamat po, Sir Mark, sa pagpapaunlak sa ating show. Always good to have you here, sir. And also to Sir June Navarro for syempre leading our interesting questions. Ako po yung nakikinig sa backstage at marami ata akong natutunan sa atin pong interview this afternoon. But again, maraming salamat po. I will read through our few comments later, no? Pero nagbabalik po ang People's Sports Conversations, and when we come back, we'll give you our trivia question for this afternoon.
Paano nga ba nabuo ang napakahusay na hydration agent na Pocari Sweat? Noong 1973, nagpunta sa business trip sa Mexico ang isang researcher na matagal na naghahanap ng mga makabagong inumin. Sumakit ang kanyang tiyan at ito ay nauwi sa dehydration at siya ay naospital doon. Sinabi ng kanyang doktor, kailangan niyang maibalik ang nawalang likido sa katawan niya para gumaling siya. Nang sandaling iyon, naalala niya ang ininom ng isang doktor matapos magsagawa ng operasyon. Ginamit niya ang ideyang ito para makagawa ng isang inumin at nabuo ang Pocari Sweat bilang inuming nagbibigay ng ayon. Gumawa tayo ng inuming mabuti sa kalusugan at kahihiligang inumin ng mga tao sa araw-araw. Ito ang motto ng Pocari Sweat na ngayon ay lubos ng tinatangkilik ng mga mamimili sa 16 bansa at rehiyon sa daigdig. Wow! Masasabi na nating ito ang pinakamahusay na iron supplement drink sa buong mundo.
Bahagi na ng buhay nating mga Pilipino ang sports. Mula sa panahon ng unos, sa tamis ng tagumpay, sa kabila ng pagbabago ng buhay, ang Philippine Sports Commission ay patuloy na magigilingkod sa sambayanan at atletang Pilipino.
Nagbabalik po ang People's Sports Conversations and you just witnessed ang ating very exclusive and very inspiring as well ang ating interview with our very own PSC Chief of Staff and PSI National Training Director for Philippine Sports Institute, no? Sir Marc Edward Velasco. And also thank you to Sir June, syempre our guest MC, for leading the conversation with our Sir Marc. And just want to read to a few comments. Sabi sa atin ni I've mentioned kanina si Jason Valenzuela, sabi niya watching from Silang Cavite. Yan, sabi naman ni Precious Candido, ayan yung hashtags natin, ano, People Sports Conversations, hashtag I am Sports Positive. And ganun din si Sikaran Bicol, sabi niya watching from Bicol Region 5, pagpupugay daw po. Yes, hello din po sa inyo. And Sir Jimmy Yanoyan, sabi niya good PM watching from Agusan del Sur. There you go. And I hope marami po kayong natutunan, ano, sa ating exclusive interview with Sir Marc and syempre Sir June, and syempre all the legacies of the PSC, the PSI, and also what's to look forward, ano, sa atin pong sports development in the country, hoping, no, for a positive impact. Kung ano man po, just want to reiterate that, no, kung ano yung in-instill ng current board natin, no, with Sir with Chairman, with our commissioners, with Sir Marc and the rest of our officials, kung ano yung in-instill nila at kanilang pong in-invest sa PSC and to our national athletes, our grassroots sport program, ay magpatuloy po sa susunod ng mga taon. And speaking of pagpapatuloy, ano, tuloy-tuloy din po ang ating trivia question for this afternoon, kung saan isang lucky winner po sa ating viewers from kung kayo man nanonood sa aming Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, meron po kayong chance ang manalo ng trivia question, no, kung saan you will receive exclusive giveaways from the Philippine Sports Commission. So if you're ready, alam niyo na po ito, no? Ito ang ating trivia question for this afternoon. We're flashing it on your screens right now. Yan ang ating katanungan. Si Sir Marc Velasco ay ang ating National Training Director ng PSI. Ngayon, ito ang ating question. Ano ang ibig sabihin ng PSI? Ayan. If you know the answer, mag-comment na po kayo right now sa ating chat box with a hashtag I am Sports Positive. So your answer with a hashtag I am Sports Positive. Ayan, sa mga viewers natin all over across our 3 platforms rather. If you know the answer to this question, mag-comment na po kayo. And syempre sa lahat ng mga tamang sagot ay pipili po kami ng isang lucky winner na aming na makakatanggap ng ating special giveaways from the Philippine Sports Commission. So yan, if you know the answer, ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng PSI? Kung si Sir Marc ay ang National Training Director ng PSI, ano ang ibig sabihin ng PSI? There you go. We're gonna announce the winners tomorrow or later, I think. And syempre, tayo pa rin po ay nasa pandemic. We hope we are setting that reminder po, no, sa ating mga sports fans and sports enthusiasts dahil po ay nasa pandemic pa rin. So we hope that everybody stay safe. And lahat po tayo ay may responsibility for ourselves, for our families, and syempre for other people. And we're gonna flash to your social media accounts right now on your screen to know more about the PSC in the next coming days and what we do, our programs and activities Please like and follow our social media accounts. We're gonna flash that on your screens right now. You can always follow us here. Like and follow us here on our Facebook accounts. Yan po, no, hanapin na lang po PSC open and close parenthesis Philippine Sports Commission. You can also follow us on Twitter at PSC_gov. We also have our Instagram accounts. Yes, please follow us there as well at phil.sportscommission. And please subscribe sa aming YouTube channel. Yan, sa mga nanonood po sa atin sa ating YouTube platform. So please subscribe na po sa ating Philippine Sports Commission channel. And syempre for official news and updates, you can always check www.psc.gov.ph. Sa ngalan po ng bumubuo ng ating programa, our Chairman Butch Ramirez, ang aming pong 4 commissioners, maging sa technical group, no, ng ating programa, the Public Communications Office headed by Ms. Marine Bamba. Hello, ma'am, and the rest of the staff. Maraming salamat po for tuning in for another episode of People's Sports Conversations. Ako po si Josh Higanor. I'll be seeing you next Thursday. That's June 30, no, for another episode of our program. And syempre, huwag niyo pong palampasin na bukas po, Friday, June 24, we'll be having our very own sa Chairman Butch Ramirez on PSC Hour on Radyo Pilipinas 2 as well sa aming pong Facebook platform. Maraming salamat po, everyone. Stay safe, no? Ulan po ata ngayon, and I hope everybody stay safe. And us all stay safe and enjoy sports, no, wherever we are right now. Maraming salamat po, guys. See you next Thursday. And goodbye, everyone. Stay safe and God bless.